All right, ladies and gentlemen. So in today's video, I figured we would check out the Steam forums to see what is going on over there with the Assassin's Creed Shadows posts, because they're all over the place, right? You got people attacking the game. You got people defending the game. You got people trying to talk about the game only to end up getting attacked or defended. It is nonsense what's happening over there at the forums, but this is nothing new. Every time a controversial game comes out, just like with Dragon Age the Veilguard, it was the same exact thing. People who are wanting to shill for the game are going to shill, and people who are going to want to call out the nonsense with the game is going to call out the nonsense, and it's just a battleground of ideology. So let's get into this video, guys. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. Now, there has been an ungodly amount of cope that is happening right now on the Assassin's Creed Shadows forums, and not even just the forums, but obviously the mainstream, media. I've been covering this for a few days now, where they are literally lying to people. They're trying to tell everybody that there has been over 2 million copies sold of this video game, and there has not been a single post of 1 million copies sold, let alone 2 million copies sold. They're trying to take the 2 million players engaged metric, and they're trying to utilize that as sales. And they're trying to say, well, it's digital and physical sales. It's not. They're completely and utterly lying to you, and they have no proof. And then when you ask them for proof, they never provide it to you. But that's besides the point. It is very interesting. Check out this particular post that I thought was hilarious. It's time to admit it. The CHUDS have won. The only people coping right now are the ones that were screaming this game would be a failure. Oh, clown emoji. This person saying, what, 100%? Is this Endymion? I could barely tell. Actually, the Chuds lost and moved the goalposts. I don't understand where people are getting that the goalpost was moved. Right? I don't understand. We've always said that the game was going to sell pretty decently compared to average games, but for an Assassin's Creed game, this game was going to flop majorly. They're trying to spin the narrative and say, well, the game is doing better than every other game that's ever released on Steam, not even realizing that Odyssey came out in 2019. You're comparing yourself to a 5 to 6 year older game and saying, well, look, we beat it by 2,000 concurrent players. Go us. We are clearly doing well in 2025. It's an absolute fucking joke. And then on top of that, most of the people playing this game are playing on Ubisoft Plus, which is why they went with 2 million players engaged and not 2 million units sold. This is why they use certain terminology, because you're going to have idiots like this that are just going to eat up whatever they say. Then it says that the game is a flop. Don't be fooled by numbers of players and that sort of thing. If they had already sold just 1 million copies, they would have said so. But they keep talking about millions of players and don't say a word about sales. By the way, whoever tries Ubisoft Plus for 5 minutes is already a player. Whoever buys the game, plays it for 1 hour, and returns it is also a player. Whoever hasn't bought the game and pays a subscription is also a player. Can they just show how many copies they sold? No. Why? Because this is a bigger flop than Veilguard if we go by the number of concurrent players on Steam. In fact, according to VGI, Assassin's Creed Shadows has sold around 230,000 units on Steam. That's a pittance for a game that costs $250 to $300 million to make. These are facts. The rest are fantasies and marketing fulls of half-truths. Dude, this guy is a fucking legend. And he got 4 clown emojis, which is hilarious, by the way. People are coping over just straight up facts. Now, if you go to SteamDB's page over here, the game is cooked, right? It's not growing anymore. It had its weekend opportunity. This is the number that it's ending at, 64,825 as of Sunday, with an estimated copy sold of anywhere between 111,000 to 380,000. And most of the time, these metrics are always higher than they actually are. I say this all the time for every single game. It dropped to number 3 in the top sellers list right now. It's got almost 8,000 positive reviews and almost 2,000 negative reviews for an 81% ratio. Now, the quite simple thing is that the reviews really are usually generally positive. Let's be real. Even if you look at Dragon Age the Veilguard, the reviews were generally positive. They don't really mean anything at the end of the day, because people are going to curate the reviews over at Steam. We've seen them doing this over and over and over again. Look, even Dragon Age the Veilguard has an almost 70% positive review ratio. Doesn't matter. And this game had 90,000 players. 90,000 players concurrently 4 months ago. It did better than Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's how fucking ridiculous this is. But at the end of the day, dude, Dragon Age of Veilguard absolutely flopped. BioWare's studio, the Edmonton studio, had to get shut down, essentially. Most of the people got fired, and whoever didn't get fired basically got moved to some other place within EA. It says, well, besides 2 million players, it didn't reach 3 million yet, I guess. The game isn't really selling or getting high amount of players like the first 2 days. Then this person says, doesn't make sense to me. When I look at PS5 games sold on Amazon in Japan, it's number 5. That's maybe not what Ubisoft was hoping for in a best case scenario, but pulling it out of the store doesn't make sense either. That is, if it's even true, most things the CHUDS say is made up anyway. Really? Is that the case? You know what's funny? People try to use the top XYZ whatever metric on these stores as a means of success. But the funny thing is, if you were to really look, especially PlayStation Store, if you were to really look and see the numbers and the games that are in the top sellers list, you'll realize that the majority of players are usually playing the top 3 games, right? Whatever those top 3 games are, that's normally what they're playing. And 4 to 6 is drastically different from 1 to 3. Amazon works in the same exact fashion, where the first 1 or 2, products are usually the ones that are selling the most, and then everything else tends to follow afterwards. The person says, Darren says, this game is fine. All these Chud Proud Boys types are just professional YouTube drama farmers. Cashing in on clicks with from fragile ego type males sitting at home, girlfriendless and in their underwear watching their channels. That sounds like massive level of projection. Wow. I mean, it's amazing how much these people try to project on other people who ideologically disagree with them. I think it's actually kind of funny, to be honest with you. And also, too, it just seems as if you guys are so angry over YouTubers who are having differences of opinion about a video game, right? You'll realize that there are a lot of YouTubers out there that are very positive and negative about the game. You're going to have people talking about the pros. You're going to have people talking about the cons. I think any proper reviewer should be able to talk about pros and cons of any video game. Even if they don't agree with some of the stuff that's in the game, it shouldn't matter. Then if you look, it says, thank you for demonstrating the point of the person you replied to. It's good to have an example at hand. Then if you go to the next page, I'm telling you, these Steam forums are filled with absolute nonsense. The question is, why did the Japanese have this racist anti-Japanese game on their shelves in the first place? I know white people are promoting anti-white media every chance they get, but I thought the Japanese would have more self-respect than whites. Well, quite frankly, they're going to sell the game no matter what. They have the means to do so. I'm honestly surprised that the Japanese did not consider outright censoring this game or banning this game or whatever, but I feel like at this point they've said their piece and they're going to essentially move on at this point. And then you got this amazing post right here that I thought was awesome. It says, wokeness will never die. I love this one. Here we go. Men, women, white, Asian, black, straight, LGBTQ, religious, atheist, right wing, left wing, etc. Video game developers are diverse now, and so are gamers. The industry is only getting more diverse. When was it not diverse? See, this is the narrative that they try to sell you, that the video games industry was not diverse. The video games industry was all white men. All of it. All of it was white men. That is not true in the slightest. There was a multitude of women. There was a multitude of non-white people that were in the gaming industry in the past and that are in the gaming industry now. It is no different. The only difference is that now there is a superficial push for this fake diversity on screen for everybody to think that they're doing something when all they're doing is doing the same thing that's always been done in the past, right? It's always been diverse. It's never not been diverse. And if you don't believe me, go check out Laura Fryer's videos on YouTube. The Gears of War director. She actually has videos from old school time. Like, I'm talking like 15, 20 years ago, where she was in the gaming industry. She shows her younger self on video and how she's leading a team of diverse people on a fucking team. This is a woman leading a game developer studio, right? She was literally one of the leaders in the studio, and she's a woman, and she was talking to Asian men, black men, white men, Hispanic men. If you look at the video, you'll see diversity everywhere. And she has so many videos showcasing this. And it's obvious that the diversity was always there. It's the people who just discovered that non-white people existed now for some reason that are trying to pretend as if they were the first ones to discover it. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Gaming will never go back to the good old days when it was just a boys club. Never was. Never was. Obviously, the majority of people that played it were men, but men loved it when women joined in on their hobby. Unfortunately for them, they didn't realize that they were going to turn it into a fucking bullshit activist-filled nonsense, but they still loved it, right? If you go to any nerd guy right now and you're a woman and you talk to him about, his hobbies, what do you think he's gonna fucking love it, most likely? The best thing is that they're to be games that target specific markets and games that target a general audience. Actually, that's how things are. Yet some gamers want the entire industry to just cater to their taste. That's weak if you ask me. It's childish to throw tantrums because some companies choose to make decisions you don't like. Just play whatever game appeals to you. Also, remember, you have a backlog of games you haven't played. Why get worked up about new games when you haven't even finished your old ones? Now, I agree with this last sentiment. 100%, I agree with it, right? People have backlogs for days. You know, if you do not like where AAA industry is going right now, then I'm sure you have a multitude of video games that you can play. However, I'm not going to take away your right to complain about the way that the industry is right now. Everybody has a right to complain about the state of the gaming industry if they are a gamer. They have every right to do so. I hate this argument that, oh, why are you complaining? Just choose not to play. Eat the slop or don't eat the slop. That's it. It's so ridiculous, man. People enjoy the gaming hobby. People want to see more games that they like, right? And who's going to advocate for you other than you, right? These activists are not going to do it. So these people have every right to say what they want to say because they have every right to advocate for themselves because they damn sure know that the journalists are not going to do it for them. They damn sure know that the activists are not going to do it for them. They need to advocate for themselves, and you have every right to do that. This person says it will only die if the world regresses. It's happening in the US, but that is forced and would be temporary. As we as a species become more advanced and evolved, our differences would seem like less and less of an issue, and we would see far less hissy fits when artistic freedoms relating to diversity are exercised. The end goal might resemble what we see on shows like Star Trek. Maybe then make games in a brand new IP for the more diverse audience that doesn't try to shoehorn that diversity into existing IPs that came out when it was just for the boys club. There must have been a good reason for those good old days games becoming popular and iconic in the gaming industry in the first place. And it wasn't because of diversity quotas. I agree with this too. 100%. See, my biggest thing is I've always said woke games can exist. They can. There's nothing saying that woke games cannot exist. The problem is that when you co-opt an IP, when you co-opt an IP that's already existed in the past, and you try to make it into something that's for the modern audience, people are going to be highly upset. You have a built-in fan base. You have a built-in following that made that IP popular in the first place. Why would you then completely bastardize it and turn it into something that's meant for the modern audience that doesn't know about the game and damn sure won't play the game, right? The problem that they don't, the reason why they don't make a lot of woke games, like actual woke games from the ground up, is because they usually fail. 95+% of them fail when they're made from the ground up. The only supposed woke games out there that have ever really succeeded are ones that already had a pre-established franchise or pre-established fan base in it, and they co-opted it, and they just got by barely on the name alone. You know, that's the only reason why a lot of these games that have been considered supposedly woke have succeeded. Otherwise, if it's a brand new IP, brand new name, and they're trying to sell it for the first time, that shit ends up tanking the majority of the time, which is why they don't usually take that risk anymore. So ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, browsing the Assassin's Creed forums, you're going to find a lot of hilarity, you're going to find a lot of cope, and you're going to find a lot of bullshit, obviously, in these forums, but I think it's hilarious, and I think you should give it a chance to check out if you're ever bored and you just want to have a laugh. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.